And one more thing for you tonight. Our packaging director, David Erwin, joins us now in the studio. And David, you have been doing some really quite remarkable work here on these motion graphs that tell a great story about Afghanistan, a terrible story, but really quite starkly. Why don't you take us through these graphs you've made here?
Well, Steve, we've put 2 motion graphs on our website that people can go and use themselves. And these graphs are the result of the 8 years of data that we collected on the Canada's mission in Afghanistan. And if you look at the graphs, let me just change them over to unique colors. This is going to show you provinces over time, a snapshot of every year in the mission. So we start playing it out. What we're seeing here is fatalities. The colors are changing as the fatalities within the province are going up. Now look at the graph move.
2005, they spike way up. Engagements. Yeah. 07, now 08. By province. Ontario and Quebec, most significantly.
Yeah, Ontario and Quebec suffer the most fatalities of any provinces. If you pull it back a little, I mean, you see Quebec rising there, 2009. Well, this shows you troop deployments. The Vandus have headed into combat. Okay. You go back to around 2005, I mean, what are we going to see here? We're going to see the deployment to Kandahar.
Understood. What else can we measure with these graphs?
Well, we've also produced a whole sheet based on ranks. Now, let's take a look at the ranks. Again, the beginning of the mission. It's a relatively low period for casualties compared to what's about to happen.
There's 2004.
Now, again, we start heading into Kandahar. Look at the corporals and the privates.
Corporals and privates.
They make up 50% of the fatalities of all the ranks in Afghanistan. And when viewers go on, what you can do with these charts, you can filter them. So right now we're looking at fatalities in the ranks. Let's see what IEDs have done.
These are the improvised explosive devices.
Exactly.
Like roadside bombs.
So let's pull it back. Say we start around 2003.
Play it.
Very low activity.
Nothing so far.
Something's happening, but it's not too high enough to measure. Now we get into Kandahar again, and these are IED fatalities, not injuries, just fatalities.
Corporals and privates again.
Yes.
Huh. From the roadside bombs.
And if you want to understand, no, this is IEDs. Roadside bombs would be a different category. But if you want to understand how this war differs from traditional wars, I've just changed this over to ground offensives. I'll start a little later in the graph. Here we are, 2004. Major ground offensive.
Privates and corporals. Warrant officers.
It drops down, the relatively quiet period. Another offensive has begun. But if you contrast that to what we saw in IEDs, or even if we went to insurgent attacks, IEDs, it's spiking all over the place. But insurgent attacks and ground offensives, you know, there's not as much activity. This is a very different war.
Indeed.
You know, it's not direct combat that's killing our troops.
David, those are impressive charts to show where the sacrifices have been made by our armed forces, and thanks very much for coming in tonight to show it to us. All of this available at?
tvo.org/theagenda.
On the website, okay. David Erwin, thanks so much.
Thank you.